Hello and welcome. You're watching WION Breakfast. It's 8 a.m. here in New Delhi and I'm Charu Shankar.
I'm Satyashree. Yes, that's right. You are with WION Breakfast. And before moving forward, here are the heads up of this day.
Creepy crawlies make it to the menu in the northeast of India. And women in Japan rent listening men to listen to their woes. Samba gets a new rhythm of life in Rio de Janeiro. And in Namibia, contemporary dance is now a viable career option. And Nidhi Mohan Kamal shares her fitness mantra with us. But Satya, what's your good thought for the day, since we always start this show on a positive note?
Yesterday, I have to start with yesterday because yesterday was the evening I got entirely to myself. I cooked.
Oh, you cooked?
I cooked and it was very, very therapeutic.
Isn't it? I always, I grew up in a household where my parents, I don't know, they had this belief that, girls should, be very good with their studies. So every time I would head to the kitchen, my father would promptly hand me a book because he thought maybe she's going to the kitchen because she has nothing to read. But when I actually started cooking much later in my life, I enjoyed it so much. Like, I really love to cook. I love to stir fry and boil things and cut up vegetables. It is therapy, isn't it?
It is therapy only when you do it when you feel like doing it. It is not therapy if you have to do it every day at 8 p.m. or every day in the morning at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Then it's a chore.
I suppose, yeah, that's right. It becomes a chore.
Well, what's your good thought of the day?
Well, my good thought is also about food, because yesterday I tried out this recipe that I've been meaning to try out for a long time for my son. I baked a yogurt cake for him.
Yogurt cake.
Yeah, and it turned out really well. I was so proud, because usually baking is a fine art, right? You have to be so precise with your measurements. But I got it right, finally. But food all over the world, Satya, can get kind of weird.
I agree. I remember us talking about the creepy crawlies once upon a time, remember?
That's right. It was in a Dutch kitchen. Camille's kitchen.
Right. Insects that make up the patty inside a burger.
Well, Satya, you know what? You really eked me out that day. And so today I have a story for you. And this story is from the northeast of India, where creepy crawlies actually do make it to the menu. And Satya, the playwright George Bernard Shaw? He said he's been famously quoted as saying, "There is no sincerer love than the love of food."
I totally second that thought. Your favorite food has that power to immediately make us feel happy and content. But what our definition of good food may not be the same for everyone else. In remote areas of northeast India, fried spiders, grilled crickets, and locally grown millet are considered delicacies. Take a look.
On the menu, grilled crickets and fried spiders, with a side order of snails. Some of the delicacies of remote northeast India.
This is snail collected from the paddy field. You have to eat like this. First, the bottom side. Like that. Then later on, you have to eat like this.
Linked to the rest of India by only a narrow strip of land, the Northeast has long maintained a food culture all of its own. This village of 200 residents in Meghalaya has resumed cultivating local millet, which was at risk of dying out as people opted for state-subsidized rice.
A few years ago, all this millet disappeared. But now, most of the people understand how all the price of the food from the other country, from out of the village, they come, it is a high price. So they realize to cultivate it again.
This fair, supported by the global slow food movement, is designed to promote the region's culinary heritage. But standardized diets are posing some risks to these traditions, and many recipes have never been written down.
Why the production is difficult? Because the knowledge of how these snacks are made are just being passed through by mouth, verbally, from grandmother to mother to child. That's the thing.
Without efforts to preserve them, there are fears that century-old ways might disappear, putting the villagers of Nong Trao on the front line of the battle to preserve regional food varieties.
Well, you know, we might consider insects creepy crawlies and a bit icky when it comes to food, but Satya, insects are actually a great source of pure protein.
That's what I got to hear. That's what I got to hear, that all kinds of creepy crawlies really are supposed to be high source of protein, and also I think it also has an effect of the greenhouse emissions. So because they are not completely out in the open and in areas which are more exposed to greenhouse gases like we humans are, so apparently on that level they are healthier.
Yes, because but I don't know about healthier, but I do know that the protein content in ants and termites is actually like very, very high quality protein. It's equivalent to like eating an egg or something.
And it's not just in the Northeast India. Actually, it's quite prevalent in other countries like Cambodia, like Netherlands,
yes,
like China,
and in fact,
Japan.
chefs, it's a movement all over the world. The Michelin star chefs around the world are actually like veering in this direction and trying to, you know, get this cuisine like into the mainstream cuisine, because it's healthier, it's more economical, it's good for our planet, like you said, because the greenhouse emissions, etc. You know, it's just saving on so much that we already have to be eating.
I agree, although I have
like
to say,
an animal, like bears eat worms.
I know. I agree, but I have to say I'm not quite sure whether I am happy or not happy about it.
Yeah, we're not quite sure that we're quite there yet. Well, taking you across now to Japan, where middle-aged men in Japan have found a new bizarre occupation. They're lending their ears to ladies who are in need of somebody to talk to.
Strong believers of shared sorrow, lessened women from all walks of life are hiring these men to listen to their woes. Here's the report.
A warm greeting in Tokyo. Nodoka is meeting a man twice her age. But they are not friends, nor is it a date. Takanobu Nishimoto is a man for rent, and it's all above board. It's the second time the 24-year-old has paid for his time.
There's the me I am with my friends, the me I am with family, the me with my boyfriend. I create myself in relation to others. Being able to speak to someone whom I don't know helps me understand myself better.
Nishimoto started his business as a hobby. 4 years on, he receives 40 requests a day and has a network of 60 men across Japan, all offering conversation at an hourly rate. Each session costs 1,000 yen, the equivalent of about €8.
The 1,000 yen fee is a good thing because it shows this is a professional service. And on their side, the client can say, I pay you to listen to me.
35 million people live in Tokyo, but what can and can't be said, even with close family or friends, is often strictly defined by Japan's social codes.
When one's confronted with something, it can be difficult to share it with someone you know who won't necessarily understand. One worries how much one can share so that it's not awkward for the other person.
A lonely fisherman, a romantic teenager, a terminally ill man. Nishimoto has all sorts of clients. He's listened to more than 3,000 people, offering a hired ear to them all.
Charu, I think it's a very, very important story because all of us at any given point of time, feel the need for someone who can just listen to us. A lot of times we only get opinions and opinions and opinions, but you know, sometimes you just need someone to talk to, for someone to just listen to us.
Yes, yes. It's I mean, just having that that one person to just listen to what you have to say is actually just therapy in itself. I mean, we're living in a day where people are actively seeking counseling and actively, what is counseling? It is, after all, it is about listening. It's about, you know, getting someone to talk, and then by talking, by the act of talking, they get to the root of their problems. And I think it is across all age groups.
I totally agree.
mean, this, of course, is a story about young women, you know, who, from all walks of life, like he was saying, his clients range all the way from like young teenage girls who are dealing with problems related to puberty and relationships, to terminally ill patients, you know, and not being able to find someone to talk to. So I think it cuts across all age groups. I think children
need it the most, really.
Yeah, like my son is so small, and he speaks gibberish. He doesn't even speak like words.
Sure.
And even then, like he really responds to me when I just sit and try and listen to what it is that he's trying to say.
That's right. And also, a lot of times we are so, as adults, we're so involved with our own daily routines, with our own occupations, with our own professions, that sometimes the temper just gets the better of us, and all that we do is to react in a way which is not very pleasing. Either we shout at the child, or maybe just sometimes even you know, hurt him physically.
Yes.
But then again, what is the child going to say? He has a certain language. He can only use the language that he understands, which is gibberish, to communicate whatever he wants to.
I know.
So beginning with children, cutting across age groups.
Even in old age, you know, like people who've sort of lived their lives and are now in the later years of their lives, they really want someone to just listen to what they have to say. Yesterday we went over to, you know, we had dinner with our neighbors, and both of them are fairly old, and their children, you know, are now in other countries. And it was just so great. We just sat there and we you know, we had a good chat, and they were just so happy, and we were so happy, and like it was just such an uplifting feeling. And all we did was just, you know, just the act of meeting and sharing stories. It's so therapeutic.
There's also one other thing which comes out of listening to other people, especially old people. They have a world of knowledge, a world of experience, and we can't even dip into it at any point of time, because you have to live through that life to get that experience. So it actually helps both ways. It helps them just let out, and it helps the listener to soak in. Yeah. Just soak it all in. I mean,
you know, which brings me to the next point. Like, what about introverts? I think all of us in our friend circles have had you know, friends who are introverts.
That's correct. So about introverts, it's not that introverts don't have anything to talk about, or they don't like people, they just like themselves. And that's a very common misconception.
That's right.
Introverts...
They're like, oh, he's snobbish, or he's detached.
Yeah. Oh, he's quiet.
But that's not always the case.
That's right. It's just that introverts need a certain kind of people to talk to. They don't want to open up to everyone, because they may not feel comfortable opening up to a few people, but which is why you find them sitting in a corner somewhere, or probably just quiet. It's because it's not that they don't have anything to talk about. It's just that they're looking for the right kind of people, and when the right person comes along, it's easier and nicer for the person to open up.
Wow, I think that's a great way to look at it. Well, human relationships are certainly something which is a very, very interesting, and I mean, it's a Pandora's box, right? You can go on and on. But it's time for us now to take a short break, and we will see you on the other side with more stories from around the world.
Welcome back. You're with us on WION Breakfast. Now, I want to ask Charu, when I say Samba, what comes to your mind, music or dance?
Dance.
Well then, the dance form.
That was really bad.
No, that was very good. Early in the morning, that's what we need. Well, that is what most of the world except Brazil would think. The first ever recording of samba music was done 100 years ago in Brazil, and now popular Brazilian musicians are rejuvenating it through music shows in Rio de Janeiro. Take a look.
Samba lovers have long gathered at the Pedro do Sal in Rio de Janeiro. The musical genre may have emerged in Bahia, in Brazil's northeast, but its history is inseparable from this Rio district, nicknamed Little Africa.
It's here that Samba developed, that the first call was born. This is where the Bahia culture took root and where the first cultural demonstration took place. That's why the Pera da Sal is considered the birthplace of Samba in Rio de Janeiro.
Valmer and his friends began playing here 10 years ago, performing right at the steps where slaves once unloaded sacks of salt. The lively shows have helped resurrect the long-depressed center of Rio de Janeiro. Entrance is free, and the audience is a mix of tourists and locals.
When I hear samba, it's different than any other rhythm. I get this feeling of joy, of harmony.
Pedro do Sal is also where members of this group, Moça Prosa, met 4 years ago. Tonight, they're singing by the Copacabana. The 9 women are something of a novelty in a genre still dominated by male musicians.
At first they're scared. They tell us, "You play samba, really?" They're always a bit skeptical, but when they come hear us and they see how we play, they see that we play like the men.
Samba lover Ricardo almost agrees.
It's a bit slower. The style of singing is different. They're in the higher notes more than the lower ones, but the masculine and the feminine are complementary. The best is when they play together.
Male or female, one thing is certain. 100 years after its birth, samba still resonates in Rio, and not just during Carnival.
Charu, I love how I'm stumbling upon these stories where the focus is on reviving the old traditions.
Yes, and keeping them alive and kicking even in our modern day situations. It's quite a task, actually. You know, it's not easy to keep up. I mean, for old traditions to sort of keep up with the pace of the modern world.
You're right, because sometimes music especially, it requires a certain discipline. I mean, be it in Indian classical dance or in Western music, there is a certain very, very strong discipline that goes into it, and you have to follow that discipline with a strong resolve.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy. I mean, yes, it sounds good to the ears, but it's not easy. You've got to really put in some effort.
Yeah. In fact, in all the arts, I mean, even if it's jazz or even if it's just samba, you know, like folk stuff, folk dances, folk music, it's celebratory and it's, you know, it's about improvisation, etc., etc. But the hard work that goes into it, you know, that's the stuff that no one sees, right? Everyone just sees you sort of improvising and having fun, but to do that 1 hour of improvisation, you've actually put in like 100 hours in the studio just practicing, getting everything down pat, getting everything down perfect. And these are traditions that have come down to us, you know, for the centuries-old methods of learning.
Yeah, there is some romance about the old. It's like old wine.
Yes, like old wine. That old wine. And methods of preserving the old wine are still sort of going strong in France, where efforts are being made by some French wine growers in the valley. They are returning to the centuries-old practice of using horses instead of machines in vineyards.
But sometimes I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem odd that when you have, you know, tractors and stuff available, why would you go back to something like, say, a horse-drawn carriage? Well, wine growers say that the horse footprints do not compact the ground the way tractors do, and this allows the soil to breathe more and enhances the quality of the wine. Does it? Take a look.
Right by the Bordeaux region on a tiny uninhabited island, a site that seems straight out of history books. There are no tractors or machines here, just horse-drawn plows working the vineyard.
My work and my approach don't fit into a specific mould. The idea is to get closer to the clearest, cleanest and purest wine possible.
After inheriting his father's business in 1985, Dominique Léandre Chevalier reintroduced the practice to revive his ancestors' know-how. The main advantage is the horse's footprint, which compacts the ground much less than tractors, allowing the soil to breathe. Dominique says he's more concerned about the taste of the wine, rather than the criteria needed to earn the coveted French labels.
The goal was to make wines that have character, that have a soul, a background, an identity, the stamp of the man behind it, and something you can't easily forget.
Dominique also decided to concentrate his vines, replanting them at 10 times the previous density.
We planted 33,333 plants here, which is about one every 30 centimetres, to minimise the number of clusters per plant.
In another nod to the past, long-forgotten varieties which date back to the 19th century are laid out in concentric circles. While most bottles here cost between 15 and 30 euros, wine from these grapes comes at a much higher price. The vintage red will set you back more than 3,000 euros.
Well, Satya, that is indeed bringing back the romance of winemaking and wine growing. But I do wonder, the whole idea of modernity was to reduce human effort and to reduce animal effort and, to put in the effort and the hard work. The machines do the hard work and you do the other fine stuff. So I do sort of wonder, how to achieve that balance.
That's a good question. I'm actually reminded of the rooftop vineyards that we talked about.
That's right. Yeah, in New York, they're growing wine on rooftops.
That's right. Now imagine that is in a way reviving the old tradition, bringing it into the modern sphere of life, and coexisting. It's like nature and the urban life
setup and a good marriage.
Yeah, it's a great marriage, and that is in fact bringing it to modernity, where in New York terraces, you're growing grapes and you're growing wine there.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for a short break, and we will see you on the other side, where we of course will be reading the headlines and of course picking up the papers and reading between the lines. Welcome back. You are watching WION Breakfast, and here are the headlines this morning.
Russia's ambassador to Turkey shot dead in an Ankara art gallery.
At least 9 killed and more than 50 injured in Germany after a lorry ploughed through a Christmas market crowded with revelers.
Another terror attack, this time in Switzerland. At least 3 people hurt during a shooting near an Islamic center in Zurich.
A special national investigation agency court sentences Yasin Bhatkar and 4 others to death in the Hyderabad blast case, which killed 18 people.
Business magnate Cyrus Mistry resigns from 6 boards of Tata companies as he plans to shift his battle against Ratan Tata to a forum where, in his words, the rule of law and equity is upheld. So those were the headlines this morning, and now it's time for Charu and me to pick up the papers and see what the newspapers are reporting between the lines this morning. Charu, it's Christmas season.
Oh yeah.
It's festival time, and we're all planning our holidays, and we are going to use that little piece of plastic called the credit card.
A lot.
But there are 5 things to be aware of before you swipe your credit card. It's easy, it's convenient, and in these days of demonetization, it's very, very important.
Yeah, it's crucial.
Perhaps the only alternative left to use the credit card. But I'm looking at the Mint. I have an article by Uttaresh Venkateshwaran, and Uttaresh talks about the 5 things you want to be aware of, because when we're opting for credit cards now more than ever, Mint had reported in October that a number of credit card instances were set to exceed the 28 million mark it had clocked in by March 2008.
Oh, that is so scary.
It is very, very
scary. I mean, credit cards are linked to your bank accounts, all your money, all your savings, and There's so many frauds that one hears of.
That's right.
Many. You have to be so careful.
And sometimes these credit cards are also linked to our auto debit system in the banks.
Yes,
very scary. So the things you need to be aware of is revolving credit.
Okay.
Banks give you the option of paying the minimum amount due on your credit card bill by the end of the interest-free period. Beyond this, you can carry forward the remaining amount balance to the next month. But you will still have to pay a monthly interest on this amount, which on an annual basis could be as high as 36%.
Oh my God.
That's
See,
correct.
This is all the fine print, right?
That's correct. So the amount you choose to pay later will attract interest every month till you have completely repaid it. So very important to know that. Now remember, you can pay your amount in multiple EMIs. Once you've made a big purchase, say of 20,000 rupees on your credit card, banks usually offer you an option to repay this amount through equated monthly installments. Now again, the interest charge on this may be significantly lower than the interest on the larger amount.
Exactly.
But multiple EMIs can mean disaster. Now withdrawing cash, remember you can use your credit card to withdraw cash. But that has a very high rate of interest as compared to the credit you take it on.
Okay.
Reckless spending, of course. No amount of advice on that can be enough. Reckless spending, a big no-no.
Yes.
A big no-no. What you should do is a credit card is a resourceful option when you are short of funds at a particular time or even to build a credit score, but financial discipline is very important in such cases.
No, frankly, Satya, I think that all of this information is enough to give you a heart attack.
I know, seriously.
So it is a good thing that science and technology is making huge progress in the field of medicine, because I have an article here, this is from the DNA, and it talks about biological pacemakers that are being developed now. What is a biological pacemaker? Well, a university in Canada has been able to somehow coax stem cells, human stem cells, in 21 days to develop into pacemaker cells. Now, pacemakers, as we all know, are put into the body to help regulate, heart functions. And they give off alarms and they can do many things. Now, a biological pacemaker is the first functional pacemaker to be made from human cells, and it can do all of these things. Now, the scientists are quoted as saying, what we are doing is human biology in a petri dish.
Wow, that's some expression.
It's really it's really huge progress, specifically because defects in pacemakers, like a normal electronic pacemaker, can lead to many problems, including heart rhythm disorders. And I want to link this article actually to another article that I have got in the Mint. This is, of course, Pramod Bhattacharya's statistical article, which we all love. They're so interesting.
Love him.
Every day we have these amazing statistics, and it talks about healthcare woes of Indian households. Now, 3% of Indian households in the top quintile saw at least a fifth of their annual income wiped out by health shocks. Annual income wiped out. And I can understand, that happening, because when someone's health is at stake, you don't hold. It's like no holds bars. Like you just go all out there. Anything and everything that you can do to get them back on their feet. And it can really wipe you out. So what you need, of course, is insurance. But do people have insurance in India? Well, let's look at the statistics. A proportion of households which have purchased private Mediclaim policies is significantly higher in metros, of course. But less than a fifth of the bottom quintile have health insurance cover. Less than a fifth.
I can imagine how you linked it to heart attacks. Seriously.
Yeah, they're in for some rude shocks actually, because you don't know when healthcare is going to strike you, and it can really wipe you out.
That's right. And the best way to keep good health is by eating good food.
That's true. That's true. Food, we are what we eat.
I'm looking at the Mint again, page 10. It says, eat more eggplant.
Eggplant?
That's right. The humble vegetable delivers plenty of nutrients at a very low calorie cost.
But it is not my favorite vegetable.
But you know what? Try it. My God, eggplant, the kind of taste it has, it can absorb any flavor that you add to it.
Oh, really?
So you can fry it, you can toast it, you can just about give a sandwich, and imagine, it can give it any taste that you like, and it just molds itself into the spices that you add to it.
Nice. Well, I know my grandmother had some really fantastic eggplant recipes, and the eggplant that she would cook, I could actually eat.
Come on, trust me, there are lots of recipes that we can talk about, and the one thing you really want to remember is that the eggplant is very rich in antioxidants. You have green tea, which is very high on antioxidants, and eggplant.
Well, antioxidants, of course, are anti-aging as well, but so is our show, because here we bring you only the best and the most positive and motivating stories. So eggplant and WION Breakfast.
There you go.
That's a good beginning to your day. It's time now to slip into a quick break, but when we come back with fitness, so stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're with us on WION Breakfast, and here we are with Charu's favorite segment, which is WION Stretch.
That's right. We bring you a workout session here where Nidhi Mohan Kamal will be showcasing her fitness mantra that will help you keep fit with just a few easy moves.
Hi, welcome back. So yesterday was legs day, and today we'll be focusing on our core and abdomen. Here's a quick tip I'd like to tell you. If you want to burn more calories and get maximum out of your workout, try to use bigger muscles for your training. So if you're training legs, if you're training back, you're training chest, you're actually burning more calories than you'll be training for calves or triceps. So today we'll be focusing on abdominal and the core. So let's start with our warm-up. Start by standing on one side of the mat, and what you have to do is bend forward and start walking forward till you're in the plank position, and then walk back. Don't worry if you're slow, or don't worry if you think you're doing it wrong. Eventually you'll get there, and we need to do 10 of these. So let's start. 1, up, and 2, straight in a plank position, and back up. 3. By the time you're on the 10th one, I'm sure you're getting your blood flow happening. 4. Now the first exercise today we'll be doing is floor cycling. So all you need to do is sit on the mat first, lean back a little, and if you think you're uncomfortable leaning back, you can actually lie down. But when you're leaning forward like this, you're actually engaging your upper abdominals as well. So what you have to do is, in this position, you have to start cycling, and you need to do 20 of this. And if you're comfortable doing this, you can actually do a little bit of swing with your elbows too. So for the next exercise, I'm actually going to be wearing my woolen socks. My grandmom knitted them for me, and I'm sure all of you have it in your cupboard. So all you need is woolen socks and a clean floor. So what we'll do is we'll start with the plank position. These are modified mountain climbers, and in the plank position what I'll do is try to bring my knees as close as possible to the chest, and we have to do 20 of these. So let's get our blood flowing. So the third exercise we'll be doing is the spikes. So all you need to do is again come in a plank position, and with your feet held together, you need to come up like this, keeping your back straight and down. If you are not strong enough and you're only able to do this much, it's perfectly fine, as far as you can go. So let's start. 1, 2, 3. So now that we're done with the workout, what we need to do is cool down a little bit, and the best way to cool down is, of course, do an abdominal plank. We'll be doing it on the elbow today. So on your elbow and your toes, making sure that you flatten the C curve out, 60-second hold, and that's it. There we go. So we'll start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, Nidhi there with some fabulous gyan about fitness. And really, once you have your core nice and strong, that's all you need. And we must all remember that health is wealth.
Well said, Charu. Well said. I almost want to say, what if you were a millionaire?
What if I was a millionaire? God, I don't know. I don't know what I'd want to buy. I'd be so confused. I wouldn't know what to do. What about you, Satya? What if you were a millionaire?
Well, I know I'm very rich. I'm very, very rich.
Oh, you are?
I'm just not a millionaire.
In terms of money.
In terms of money, that's right.
That's right. We're rich with happiness. But let's see what the Twitteratis have to say. I'm not a millionaire because I had kids. Oh my God, that couldn't be more true.
My God, really, Charu?
I'm not a millionaire because I spend way too much money on food.
Come on, how much do you eat, yeah?
I mean, really? You're not a millionaire because you spend money on food? I mean, you need to go on a diet, yo. I'm not a millionaire because that email from Nigeria was a scam. Can you believe that?
Yes, I can believe that.
Yes, it was a scam.
Yeah.
Don't answer weird emails. Certainly don't tell them your credit card numbers. Were you not watching our Between the Lines segment?
I'm not a millionaire because I'm actually a billionaire. All right, then.
And then I woke up.
And then I woke up.
He was dreaming.
I'm not a millionaire because I'm not a politician. Oh, that's... What do we say about that, Charu?
What can we say about that? Well, in India, you can't be a millionaire anymore, even if you are a politician.
I know, that's right.
I'm not a millionaire because Bill Gates won't share his money with me.
Why would he want to share his money with you? How about you sharing your money with others?
Wishful thinking. Yeah, come on.
That's what would make you
and you know, money, remember we read that article about how like money is like blood, like if you clog it up, it's going to cause diseases.
I know.
You need to share. I'm not a millionaire because either I'm wearing my money or I have eaten it.
Wearing money or eating it?
Lots of people talking about like not being millionaires because they eat too much. Switch to an eggplant diet is our advice to you. That's the solution right there.
Yeah, high on antioxidants.
Well, moving forward, it is time now to unplug and to delve straight into the world of fashion and beauty. Puerto Rico's Stephanie Del Val was crowned the Miss World 2016 title in a glitzy, star-studded ceremony in Washington, D.C.
The stunning 19 years old model and musician Stephanie beat contestants from 116 countries from all over the world to clinch the title.
Dominican Republican contestant was chosen as the first runners-up, while the second runners-up was Natasha Manuela from Indonesia. India's Priyadarshini could only make it to the top 20. And there's her crowning moment now. You know, I always found the Miss World crown to be one of the most beautiful of the beauty pageant crowns. It's really very pretty.
And this particular moment is the best moment of any pageant.
Stephanie Del Val.
Wow, look how emotional she is.
Miss World 2016.
Well, we have our beauty queens. Yeah, I know. How gorgeous. What a moment. What a moment.
Right? and that very moment, Charu, where the previous beauty queen passes on the tiara to the current beauty queen, that I think is the moment when I hold my breath.
Yeah, I do. Even now.
Yeah.
Find it really magical. Well, with that, we come to an end for this morning. You were, of course, watching WION Breakfast, and do tweet to us at WION Breakfast. We look forward to hearing from you. I'm Charu Shankar.
I'm Satyashree Gandham. Yes, you were watching WION Breakfast. We will see you tomorrow, same time. Until then, we leave you with weather updates from around the world.